We get our first hints at what Brock Boeser's new contract could look like after next season, and NHL Network's top 10 goalies list is now out, featuring Vancouver's Tatcher Demko. We'll be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all updates surrounding the Canucks this offseason. With that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is first hints at Boeser contract. And we see here in an article from the province that they were wondering, does the NHL top 30 winger deserve a raise? And this is him coming off of his best season, which they do elaborate on, saying he's coming off his best season. Another big year will surely land him a strong raise. But even if he doesn't hit the 40 goal marker, which he did in 2023-2024, he can still put himself in a strong negotiating position if repeats the strongest overall play he showed last season. And they follow up on, there was another article following up saying that he is currently earning $6.65 million USD per season right now. It's safe to assume, and on the low end of things, he'll get $7 million on his next contract, but that number could be even higher if he has another strong season like he did in 2023 and 2024. And 2023-2024 was very kind to Brock Boeser. He did have the best season of his career, playing 81 games, 40 goals, 33 assists for 73 points with 204 shots on net. He led the team in shots. Giveaways and takeaways were at a minimal. Plus 23 rating, 18 minutes on the ice average, with his expected shooting percentage to be 19%, as well as his plus minus to be an average of 5.2. I think he's looking in great shape for another great season coming off of the blood clot injury. I think he's going to be poised to have a much better season for next year, where he's going to want to be able to prove that he can belong in those top point scoring conversations and able to sustain it as well. And one of the key things when you look at his goals was where they came. He was a crucial player in crunch time. Indeed, when the Canucks score was tied or the Canucks were leading by 1 or 2 goals, no forward played more than Boeser. And they follow up on it saying that given the Canucks results in those tough minutes, 22 of their 49 wins of the season came when being outshot. It's also a strong comment on how much influence Boeser had on Miller's improved game. And that's another great thing as well with Boeser. He did elevate JT Miller's game, where JT Miller got over 100 points last season. And Boeser's game as well. In those crunch time moments, we saw in the Nashville game where he just put the team on his back and said, all right, I'm going to rally off a hat trick. You guys just follow me into battle and we're going to win this game. He did that time in and time out, not just in the postseason, but also in the regular season, where he was bringing in clutch goals and clutch moments when we needed him. So if he wasn't our leading scorer, he was definitely our most clutch scorer on the team, getting goals when we needed them. He was one of the playoff performers who was very present in the playoffs and was consistently putting up points and putting up an effort out there and not just getting cardio, or was one of the passengers like Tocchet talked about last season in the postseason. But he has been great. And going into next season, he is going into his 28th year being on this earth. He's 2 years younger than Miller when his new contract started last fall. Boeser will still be clearly in his prime for the first 2 seasons of his new deal, something few UFA forwards are able to say. And this is also a team where they are in a position where they have the age curve, like we talked about with JT Miller, breaking that age curve where he had the best season of his career over the 30 age mark, where other players in this franchise, like the Sedins, like Marcus Naslund, also reached their best season when breaking that age break. And I think it's awesome to see that these players are continuously putting up points past a certain age, where they're proving doubters wrong, they're proving the stats wrong, and making new waves of their own and forging their own path as far as late career point scoring. So I think Boeser is due for something like that, and I think he has an opportunity to do that. And another thing, Daily Faceoff did identify a particular forward type that seems to be able to sustain their value as they enter their 30s, the offensive forward, quote unquote. Players like Tyler Toffoli, Matt Zuccarello, Alex Radulov, Paul Stastny, John Tavares, Artemi Panarin, and Zach Hyman. And Brock Boeser, compared to a lot of those players, I would happily take him over a lot of those players, where he is someone that also, like he's been playing for Vancouver, he's been playing for the city as well. He's greatly adapted to the city and made it his home over his career in Vancouver. And that's something that a lot of players on that list can't really say. They've bounced around to a lot of teams. They've made their homes in those cities. But Brock Boeser is someone who, as far as a team guy, I would definitely take him over a lot of the other guys. He might not get you as many points, but he's definitely going to work his butt off and get you those clutch moments, win those clutch goals in those clutch moments when you need them as well. And looking at his career stats, yes, he has been on the upswing lately over his career, where he's continuously gotten better and better and better. And I think he's just hitting into his upswing right now, where he did play 81 games. He played almost a full season, just missing 1 game. So I think with this Vancouver team having gotten better, I think he is due for another follow-up season like that. And the evidence backs a forward like Boeser that he will almost certainly provide solid value for his first 2 years of his deal before he faces the grim reality of time. So before he hits that 30 mark, he is going to have time to improve upon that 73-point season where he can go up to 80, maybe to 90. Maybe he does eclipse 100. Who knows? That's a very far stretch. But having gone up so significantly over those past few years, I think that goes to show that Brock Boeser is here to stay for Vancouver if they are able to sign him, and he will do nothing but perform for us on those top two lines and that power play unit with our top guys. And hopefully we see the Lotto line at some point again this year. But let us know what you guys think about this as well for Boeser. What do you think you guys would pay him as his contract expires into next season? I know it's very, very early for us to be talking about it. I know it's just a fear that's at the very end of the road. We're going to cross that bridge when we get to it, but eventually that time will have to come. So if you were in Patrik Allvin's position, what would you guys offer Boeser in order to make him stay in Vancouver and play with this team and hopefully go win a cup and keep this Stanley Cup window open for years to come? Let us know what you guys think down in the comments as well. But that's going to bring us into our second topic of the day, which is Thatcher Demko ranked number 6. And you see here in a list from NHL Network that Thatcher Demko was ranked number 6 on their top 10 list of goalies. Last year, he was ranked number 10. And when you look at the top 10 list as a whole, you have Linus Ullmark, UC Saros, and then you have Jake Ottinger, Sergei Bobrovsky, Thatcher Demko at number 6, Ilya Sorokin, Jeremy Swayman, Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, and Shesterkin. Solid list, great company that he's in. It was surprising to see him rank a bit lower, but again, I think his injuries did play a particular part in that. And we see here in a quote from NHL Network as to why exactly they did pick for Thatcher Demko for this list. Demko posting a 35 wins, 14 losses, 2 overtime losses, 2.45 goals against average, .918 save percentage, 5 shutouts in 51 games, tied Saros and Ottinger for 6th in wins and finished 5th in goals against average among goalies to play in at least 25 games. He was also leading the NHL in wins when he sustained a knee injury on March 9th that sidelined him for 14 games. Despite missing time, he finished as the runner-up for the Vezina, won by Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets. The 28-year-old also helped the Canucks win the Pacific Division, finished with 109 points, 26 more than in 2022-2023, and allowed 2.7 goals per game, tied with the Bruins for the 5th fewest. And it's great to see Thatcher Demko put up those numbers and be amongst his contemporaries in that sense, having missed so many games. It seemed like when we had him gone, you definitely felt his presence miss. And speaking of his presence, when you look at the Vancouver Canucks record last season, when they had Demko, we saw in there 35-14-2 with Demko. But when you look at the record without him, that's where it gets interesting, where it was 15 wins, 9 losses, and 7 overtime losses. Those were crucial. Casey DeSmith was able to win a decent amount of games in the games that he had to step in. It was half the amount of wins and almost half the amount of games. But those 7 overtime losses, that's where it was crucial for Vancouver. They definitely needed those wins, especially when looking at the points where they could have walked away with the President's Trophy perhaps. Definitely don't want it because that thing is cursed to beyond all belief. But they definitely could have walked away with the number 1 seed in the West had they were able to pull out those games that DeSmith was playing. Shelovs was in a few of those, but he did play great in the playoffs when we needed him. However, it is nice to see that Thatcher Demko is going to be potentially looking healthier for next season, and they definitely need him because his presence is undoubtable. And when you look at his stats, he just is continuing to get better and better. He is just one of those goalies where you don't want to get rid of him. You want to keep him as long as you can. He's such a valuable goalie and such a valuable asset to this team. So it'd be terrible to see him go. If you want to pause it there, you can look at his stats and just see how great he is of a goalie as when he is healthy. Yes, health is a major concern for him, but I don't doubt that this season he can be able to be bounced back. And when you have that safety valve in Arthur Shelovs, you're not going to have too much to worry about as far as losing those games when Demko is out. So with that 15-9 record, I think that record without Demko there definitely won't look as grim as it did last season. So we might not have to worry about that as much as we would have to worry about pushing Demko to playing over 60 or 70 games. But again, I think with Shelovs in the net, I think it does allow for some insurance as far as those games where Demko can take his time. If he's feeling uneasy out heading into a game, you can put Shelovs in there. I don't think you have to worry about anything there. But let us know what you guys think as well. Would love to hear what you guys think as far as how many games you would like to see Demko start next season. And what do you guys think about him being ranked on this list? Do you think he was disrespected? Do you think he should have been higher? Where do you think he should have ranked amongst the other goalies in the league? Would love to hear what you guys have to say. But speaking of what you guys have to say, that's going to lead us into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And we see here in a comment from Fabled Hero 929, I think Ratu could possibly get up to 65 points in Abbotsford this year, man. Malhotra should help be even better on faceoffs, which may allow him to make the jump as a third line center in the 2025-2026 season. And I think that's an interesting projection for him. I think this is in reference to our last video when we talked about Aatu Ratu and his development and his offseason training this past offseason. And I think he's definitely poised for a great season in Abbotsford, especially with Malhotra at the helm and a much better improvement at coach, where a lot of players seem to be gravitating towards him. So I'd love to see what he is able to do in Abbotsford this season. It's definitely going to be a lot of AHL games watched this season compared to last season. There's going to be a lot more prospects to watch this year as we head into Vancouver's future. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys think down below. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. But that's going to do it for this episode. Take care.